Today, you're going to learn how to create complex sequence animations with Adobe Experience Design. Oh, and hey, I'd like to point out this video's awesome sponsor, Skillshare.com, which offers thousands of classes in design, coding, business, and more. For instance, you're about to watch this quick video on Adobe XD, but you could watch this full XD course at Skillshare. Now, Skillshare is just $10 a month, but if you're the first 200 students to use my very exclusive link below in the description here on YouTube, then you get the first 2 months free. All right, so let's get started. Hey everyone, Gary Simon of Coursetro. So it's been a massive week for Adobe and Adobe Experience Design in particular, and I've had some time to really play around with the new features, specifically Auto-Animate for animating your prototypes. Initially when I saw it and realized how simple it was, I thought that, well, it's kind of simple. It's going to be, you know, you're going to be confined to very simple animations, and you know, won't be able to do anything too cool with it. But then I realized you really can. So let me show you real quickly here in the browser exactly what I'm talking about, or the desktop rather. So if I play this this animation that this prototype we're about to create, watch this. So this is obviously entirely in Adobe Experience Design. So we click on this and we have a cascading, or a kind of like a sequence animation occurring right off the bat. So we click it. Notice how the menu items will kind of come in one by one. All right, and then also notice right after that we have this animation occurring, which is also very slick as well. So click it, and then it shows up, and we can control all these parameters. Now let's click on Services. Look at that. Obviously, creating this stuff, you know, when you're actually in production and working with code, that would be one thing. But now you can so easily create these prototypes about how you envision the app should respond based on user interaction. And this is a massive step forward, in my opinion. And so I'm going to show you exactly how we create this right here. All right, so for today's question, what do you use for animating your UIs? Straight up CSS, or perhaps you use some sort of CSS or a JavaScript-based animation library? Let me know in the comments, and let's get started. All right, so I have a brand new artboard open here. I just click on the default iPhone 6, 7, 8 sort of artboard. I'm just going to make it a little bit larger and also copy the height so that we can have the viewport height equal the same. All right, so I'm not going to really spend a lot of time on the actual UI itself because I want to demonstrate and show how to use the features themselves. Having said that, we need to get at least something on here to use. So I'm going to take the rectangle tool and draw out just same size as the artboard. And we're gonna, with it selected, I'm actually gonna use one of my installed plugins. So if you go to plugins here, which is obviously one of the brand new features, only a couple days old from Adobe XD, we'll see that we have plugins here, and we have one called Photo Splash. So if you don't currently have this installed, you just go to Discover Plugins, and then you just type in Photo Splash right here, and then click Install. After that, you don't even have to reload at all. All you have to do is go to Plugins. With that selected, make sure you have that, that rectangle selected, and go to Photo Splash right here. All right, so the way this is set up is you have two options here on the side. Just random photos. Every time you click it, it's going to generate a random photo. Or you can search for specific photos right here. In our context, it doesn't even really matter. Originally, I was using a guitar. I think here, find photos. I'm just going to use this one and then hit apply. There we go. No more searching in a separate browser and then dragging things in manually. Awesome stuff. So what we'll do is just take this down a notch. But before I do that, we're going to create another one real quick. Or instead of doing that, we'll just take the artboard itself, and we'll get kind of just a dark, absolute dark color right there. All right, and then we'll take down this opacity. 1 second. Sorry, I'm screwing around here. We're gonna make it like a mid-gray color. right around there. There we go. That's what I wanted. Something that's just kind of gray, but a watermark type of background. Real quickly, I'll just put in a sort of watermark logo. I'm going to use white for the color. We'll use Montserrat for the font and make it bold. All right. And then we'll just stick it right there. And then we'll have a hamburger icon menu, except I'm going to do a trendy way. It's not going to just be 3 equal lengths. We'll have one come out around here. We'll make this white, take the size to 2. We'll duplicate it, Control D. We'll make this one a little bit longer this way, and then Control D as well. Make it like that. All right, so with that selected, those 3, Control G to group those, and then we'll use the keyboard arrow keys to make sure it's all lined up and with equal white space and all that good stuff. Awesome. So now that's all the setup that we're going to do with this. For this background, we can go ahead and just lock that so we don't get, same thing with the logo. We don't need that selected at all either. All right. So let's say, for instance, we want to simulate, what happens when an individual clicks on the menu. All right. So let's go ahead and take this and we're going to duplicate it. Control D. All right. So when we do that, we're going to, right here, just draw out kind of just a vertical menu of sorts. All right, so I'm going to take the rectangle tool, come out to right around here, kind of like a 2/3 sort of column situation. We'll take this and we're going to make it black. Actually, no, we're going to make it a little bit off black. There we go. I like that. And then we'll go ahead and we're going to zoom up here. I'm going to take the line tool, hold shift for a 45-degree angle, right around there. Make it white, size 2 for the stroke. And then real quickly, we'll duplicate it. And then we'll take this, hold shift, just that top anchor point, and then move it into place. Now we have our little X right here. So with that selected, we're going to hit Control G to group that up. And also, we'll move it into place where it needs to be, roughly right around there. Awesome. Okay, so now after that, we're going to put in some of our menu items. So when you construct the menu items, you can make them all part of the same text layer, but if you want to individually kind of animate and control each menu item, then you're going to want to make sure they're separate items, separate text layers themselves. So we're going to put in home, hit escape, Control D, hit V for move, and then hold shift, and I'd say right around there is pretty good. The next one will be services. Escape, Control D, hold shift, scale down. We have our equal spacing between them. The next one's going to be about us. You know the drill at this point. And then finally, contact. All right, awesome. So a couple things to pay attention to is when you're doing this, you want to make sure that if we want to animate this in, for instance, when somebody clicks on this and we want to have this navigation of sorts, like the whole panel kind of move in from the side, as well as maybe animate these individually, you have to make sure that first, all of these elements have to be on this artboard as well, this very initial artboard. Otherwise, it doesn't know how to go from point A to point B. So the way these are is kind of just basic tweens in a sense that you have a starting point and you have an ending point. Well, right now we have an ending point, but we don't have a starting point. So we're going to take these and make sure nothing else is selected here. So for instance, we have our rectangle 1. We'll make sure nothing else is selected. Oh, this right here, that, this part, there's this thing right here. We do not want that at all, which is, it's called group 1. So if we select everything, we don't want to select group 1, so we can just lock that. All right, so now we select only what we want. So for instance, if I select everything here, oh, it's still being selected. There we go. Now it's not selected anymore. All right, so now what we can do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit Control G to group everything up together. All right. So this is an important step because you don't have to do it this way, but when you go to duplicate this, it's going to make it life a little bit difficult because you're going to have to rename these layers to make sure they match up, and you'll see what I mean. So now that we just have this group 3, and we can just call this nav right here, we'll duplicate it, and we're just going to drag it into this one right here. All right, so we have nav here and we have nav here as well. So that's exactly what we want. Anything we want to animate, we want to make sure that the layer names match up. All right, so where is this going to be going from? Well, by default, we don't want to see this at all. So we're going to be dropping the opacity completely off for all these elements. But before we change that, we're going to change the position of a few of these elements in and of themselves. So first off, I'm going to move everything pretty much off screen, maybe right around here. Now, when you move these things off, make sure that they don't go outside of the particular artboard or it won't work. So then what we'll do is I'm going to double click on this home right here. We'll take all of them. So all 4 of these, I'm just going to move them over just a little bit. And then I'm going to hold shift and select that in order to deselect home. We'll move this over a little bit more. And you could do this vertically as well as horizontally. So the way these are going to work is these are going to kind of cascade in horizontally because I'm changing the physical distance between them. All right, so contact will fade in or come in last because this is further away from its original distance over here. All right, so that seems pretty good to me right now. Now we'll take the whole group right here and we're just going to take the opacity of everything and drop it off. Awesome. So I think at this point we're ready to do our first kind of prototype. So what we'll do is when somebody clicks this, we're going to drag it to this artboard. We're going to make the trigger a tap, and the action is going to be Auto-Animate. All right. So we also have the easing, and the easing you could play around with. It will affect the animation and how that works. And then also the duration of the animation itself. Let's make this like 0.6. All right, we're just going to leave it at ease out, and then let's hit play to see how this works. So we're going to come over here, click it. All right, it's very subtle. Let's try it again. But it works. Let's make it maybe last a little bit longer just so we can see the effect because it is very subtle, although that is sort of ideal. You don't want to overdo your animations and your UIs and such. But we'll just set this at 1 second here. So we'll be able to see the effect a little bit more in this manner. There we go. Now, of course, if we change the easing options here, like we'll try wind up. All right, that's one option. But I think we're going to set at, we'll just do ease in. All right, so next, how about when we want to exit out of there? We can do that as well. All we have to do is select this right here, make it go back, and it will remember that it is Auto-Animate. It'll just remember all those settings. So when we hit play, there we go. Now that is awesome. Now let's say, for instance, that you wanted to have a little bit more of a complex animation sequence occurring here in the sense that maybe right after these cascade in, there'll be a brief pause and you'll have maybe a search area show up down here. First, before I do that though, I'm getting annoyed with the alignment right here. I want to make these a little bit closer to this edge. All right, and everything should still work after making these changes. So what we'll do is we're going to go back to the Design tab and duplicate this, and we're going to create a rectangle right here. So a rounded rectangle will go right here. All right, and we're going to drag those corners in all the way, and we'll take the fill somewhere right around there, 404040 for the hex code. All right, and real quickly, we're going to create a magnifying glass icon. We'll make this white, and we'll make the size 2 just to keep things consistent. And then we'll take the line tool just to create the bottom handle portion of that. So let's go ahead and take those two, hit Control G, and we'll put this right there. All right, so what we can do if you want to have more sequence-based animations take place through Auto-Animate is use a delay. All right, so remember though, if we want this to kind of maybe just grow, well, it has to exist on the artboard as well. There has to be a point A and then a point B, obviously, a start and an end. So to do that, we'll go ahead and first we will take these two elements and group them, Control G. All right, so let's just call this search. Now let's duplicate this. All right, so we'll Control D to duplicate search, and we're going to put it right here. And the change that we're going to make is first we're going to pull this all the way in, and then also we'll take the whole group itself and we'll take the opacity down. All right, so let's go to our prototype tab, and I will take this, we'll drag this artboard over to this artboard. We have Auto-Animate, but the trigger is not going to be a tap, it's going to be a time with a 0 delay. All right, so let's try that. Maybe we'll make it a 0.6 seconds duration and hit play. So we click it, and there we go. Awesome stuff. So hopefully you're now starting to realize the power of being able to do this. What we can do real quickly is we'll take this, and if they hit X out of here, it will take them back, let's just say to this one. Now, because we've done that, we've gone from this third artboard to the first artboard, which doesn't currently have this part, the animation might not be ideal, but just to show you, yeah, we just saw right there. So if we click it and then we click X, it kind of just fades off, but so you would want to account for that in this artboard, but we'll keep on going anyhow. So let's say we also wanted to, just to gain more experience with Auto-Animate, let's say we also wanted to simulate what happens when somebody clicks on the services button. All right, so let's go back to design and hit Control D. And let's go ahead and say, okay, somebody clicks on services. The first thing that's going to happen is we're going to extend this entire background right there. All right, and because they click services, something unique is going to happen with it. So what I'll do is take these three, the other three right here, and we're going to push them to the right and just double click because they're in a group just to access that given layer. And then we'll take them and we are going to hide them. And then as for this section right here, we'll take it and then hide it as well. All right, so let's give this a shot. We have to go to prototype, select services. It's a tap trigger with Auto-Animate, and we'll leave it at 6 seconds. So let's hit play. Services. Look at that. So now let's say also, this is kind of silly though, because if you're just left with this is horrible usability, or user experience. So let's go ahead and duplicate this in our design tab. And what we'll do is we'll move this one up. Yeah, right around there is fine. All right, so again, this is our starting point. It'll start here, and then it'll move up. So it's going over here from right to left and then up. All right, so after that, let's also add a couple more things that will happen or animate in. So we'll take this text area here, and I'm just going to type in what we can do for you. Okay, whatever. Some type of catchy headlines here, right? We'll bring this in. Yeah, right around there looks good. And I just want one more other UI element. So real quickly, I will just take this rectangle tool, put this around here. Maybe we'll go real quickly to our plugins, because life is a lot easier now with the plugins. I'm just going to put like a random, here, there we go. Wait, maybe we can use Harambe there. There we go. Awesome. Oh, that's great. Okay, so let's get rid of that border. All right, so we'll say that when this fades up as well, or this moves up, we want this stuff to move up as, you know, along with it. So remember, there has to be a starting point. This is point B, we need a point A. So we'll take both of these and let's go ahead and I want to rename this, or let's see here. This one, we'll just call this Gore. And then we'll duplicate both of these, Control D, move them into here. And we're going to position them down so that they will actually come up. And then we're going to take the opacity down as well. And this one, we'll make it come down even further, so it'll create kind of like almost like a parallax effect. All right, so yeah, we should be pretty good here. Let's go to prototype. And this is going to be a time-based delay. So no delay here. We want this to be instant. So let's choose 0. No, come on now. 0.0s or 0s. There we go. And then we can leave this at ease in. Let's try 1 second. And let's give this a shot. Hit play. Services. And look at that. Awesome, awesome stuff. So now let's, just to wrap this up, let's see what happens. Let's try to make this X work. So what will the X do? All right, well, if we make it go back to this right here, it's simply just going to end up going back to our services, and it'll create kind of like a loop. Actually, I think it will. I never really tried that. Let's just try it. On a tap, it's going to auto-animate, and then it's going to go back to this. But this has a time trigger automatically applied to it. So I'm expecting a loop. So let's select this artboard and then hit X. Yeah, it's going to be a loop no matter what. So how do we fix that? All right, well, what we can do is let's go ahead and sever that connection here. Oh wait, no, we want that there. This one, we don't want the connection going there. What we'll do instead is duplicate this. Let's just drag it down here. All right, and what we'll do here, instead of having this time trigger, we'll have the time trigger, except it's going to go over here now. All right, so it's a time-based trigger, and it's auto-animate. All right, so now what we can do is we could take this, make it go here instead, and it should work as expected. So let's give this a shot. Hit play. Services. Hit X. Look at that. I can't believe it worked the first time without me screwing something up. But that's how freaking easy this is, and it's immensely powerful to create really just almost anything you can imagine. And I can only imagine too, as they start to add more to this, it'll definitely be quite powerful. All right, so hopefully you found that useful, and now you have a new skill set under your belt, and this is going to be so much fun for myself, I know specifically, to play around with. So make sure you answer today's question, which is, what do you use to animate your UI? Straight up CSS, or perhaps some CSS or JavaScript animation library? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, of course, if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys soon with a new video.